Good morning, me. Good morning, Bobby. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, everyone. So, coming up to this morning, one of the biggest things that I'm seeing so far is a lot of pop and drops. A lot of pops made a pretty decent rally in the start of the move, and then giving back at the end. It's nice to see, IOTR curl back up there, dip off of VWAP. Yeah, that's what I'm watching on that as well on IOTR, coming up to 7 a.m. Let's pull up some of this action because it looked like it was a pretty decent move. So our leading gainer up 150% for the day at that time. No news. Singapore company rallies. Dips setup, dips setup, dips setup. Curls, another dip setup. Pops all the way up here. Dips curls. Dip setup. Wow. Pretty insane move. Third leg higher. It's possible. I don't know. It's kind of selling off a little too harshly here in this area. A lot of red volume candles. Highest volume candles green on the day. 1 million shares traded early in the morning. It's 5 minutes. That's a lot of volume. RAYA gapping back up here. This one's popped down a couple of times and came back up. I don't know how interested I am on this one. There's news from 7 a.m., 7:30 from yesterday, it looks like. Chinese company. RAYA. Good morning, AWS. Good morning, Sunil. We also have GLSI. This one's doing a little bit of a run here from this morning. Kind of ATGL setup. Went up to a high of 36, back down to 30s, back up to 36, back down to 30s. A little bit too expensive for me. I could imagine a lot of small account traders just being hands off on that one. IOTR is interesting for a break. A VWAP here. What's their first pivot level? Kind of $8 a share. Previous high here, 750. So we can see in this range what it wants to do. Nice little pop up there though. Sometimes after these give a nice move, what they end up doing is they jump up, they hold, they dip, and then they go. So watch for kind of like an inverted head and shoulders pattern. Kind of a little bit more thickly traded up here. That's 750, 756, 764. Nice. Now watch the dip. Good morning, Monica. That's 72, 73. Kind of gapping up here a little bit. Let's see, we still need to break over 8, hold over 8. That's the pivot level at 819. Previous. A lot of selling volume coming in out of the 9s. I don't know. I wasn't watching it at 9, so I don't know what the price action was like. We can watch for a 7 a.m. pop for the squeeze up through $8 a share in about 3 minutes. It's kind of what I'm watching for. High of this candle, 80s. Looks like it's going to be a no trade day for him. There's no news on this stock. We have room up in daily chart, plenty of room. Guess in this area, come into a little bit of resistance. There's not 200 periods, so there's no 200 EMA. Burge, we would need to see 200 periods of daily candles in order to calculate what the 200 moving average is. There's 60, 61, 62, 63. Slow gap up there, but back down to the 59s. Yeah, I was a little bit worried of a premature break on that candle there. Let's see if it wants to break up over 75, 85, squeeze to $8 a share. I think there's a lot of eyeballs on this one. At 62, 60s. Adding here at 70. Watching for the pop through 80. There you go. There's 8, 813. Watching for the break up higher. Nice. Now watching for that squeeze. Watching for the break up over 819. Holding the rest, break even at 70s. So if we can get over 819, you look nice for the squeeze all the way to 850, holding the rest flat. So that was a 7 a.m. breakout pattern. Very confident on that one. Took about 500 shares. Back up to 807. See if we can start squeezing up over 819. There's 820. Now you're looking for the squeeze all the way to 850. Beautiful. Now that's 870. Now you're looking back through high day at 9. There's 9. There you go. There's 9. 930. Taking some more off there. Holding a couple more shares left. That was beautiful. Lots of selling up here at 9. Holding to see if it wants to retest 9, but gapping all the way back down. So, pretty good start to the day. That was my biggest position, I would say, in a while. And so, not tradable in Schwab. Wow. On Monday, give them a call, AWS, and then they'll release the restrictions on these small cap stocks for you. They said Monday would be the change. Got 55 cents per share on IOTR. Nice job, Bobby. Nice trading. Thanks, Trucker. So with IOTR, the way it popped up there and broke over $9 a share, I wasn't a big fan of how it popped up to 930 and immediately rejected. And seeing it, try to break over 9 a couple of times and struggle, it's a huge indicator for me to feel that it's too heavy up in this area. It's gonna need some more time. So for those who missed the roundtable meeting yesterday, one of the biggest things that I went over was um, what is the goal? What as a trader, what are you trying to get from the market? And if you don't really have that defined, sometimes you can push things a little too hard, or you might not push hard enough. And so for me yesterday, we went over, what is my expectations coming in the market, and what do I need to set for myself? Because, coming into the market every day and making a certain amount of cents per share and then over trading and giving it back, I really lost sight of what my goal is here in trading. And at the end of the day, my goal is to make money. That's why we sit here. That's why we're disciplined enough to show up every day. And so the biggest thing that I went over yesterday was my new goal coming into every morning session is going to be around 20 to 25 cents per share. And I'll be increasing my share size to 500 to 1,000 shares until I have a stretch of green days, and then increasing it as aggressively as I can up to, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, and just continuing going from there. I think for a while, especially yesterday, kind of lit a fire under me because, I have a really good day trading. I trade very well at the start of the morning, pick up 50 cents per share out of the market, which is very hard to do. I was not doing that my first year of trading. Whether that's due to emotions or strategy, it was difficult for me. But coming into, today, picking up 25 cents a share a day is something that I know that I can do. And so whether that's on 500 shares or 1,000 shares, um, that's my goal for today. And I was able to meet that sitting down pretty early at 7 o'clock. So, you know, I'll be continuing to sit here through the rest of the day. I'll definitely be locking up this green day for sure. Kind of doing a smaller small account challenge. I can't say small because, these are relatively large share size comparative to a lot of traders. So I'll be doing a new challenge, and that'll force me to increase my share size as well, which is my main goal. Thanks, Strucker. Hopefully we can stretch in a couple of these really nice days. $0.10 per trade, nice. Yeah, I still have the same strategy on that front, like going for 10 cents per trade as well. But my daily goal is 25 cents. So whether that's on, I wouldn't say 25 exactly. It's anywhere between 20 to 25. But I know that I can capture 25 cents out of the market consistently every day. There's at least two moves that I can trade most of the time, unless it's a really cold market like November. You only get a couple of opportunities, but most of the time I'm able to capture decent moves. Especially my first trades of the day. Those are typically uh, m- more green than not. So this is a little bit of a 5-minute setup breakout for the breakout over IOTR. So what I'd be looking for is the break over 80, 82, and then that squeeze back to 9. So watch 80, there's 80, 83. Now you're watching for the squeeze back through 9. Kind of a rejection in this area. It's still holding up relatively well, so it can still go. So watch here. This is why it's important to get in and before the breakout. We're talking about anticipation yesterday in the meeting. No, not really holding up. So yeah, if you get the chance, I would definitely watch back that meeting. There was a lot of good information. It was just me and John. We had a wonderful conversation together. You know, and I thought that was really cool. I think it was one of the best meetings so far, and I'm looking forward to them every week because they hold. I think those meetings are gonna be good to hold each other accountable for mistakes or learning and just staying on top of the grind. So I know the time is awkward. My schedule for this year, or I guess this semester for myself has been a little bit off, and I had to change the meetings from. Typically, I like to have them at 10:30 because it's right after we're done pretty much trading. We get time to step away from the computer, come back feeling refreshed, whether it was a red day or green day, whatever it was. But unfortunately, I'm not around the desk at that time, so I come back and then we can host a meeting. But if different times work out for you guys to want to show up and be a part of that as well, just let me know and we can try to organize something from there. Yeah, it's gonna be every Wednesday, preferably. That's the best time for me. I also have times on Mondays and on Fridays. I know a lot of people leave on Fridays, and stop trading early on and enjoy the rest of the weekend. So I think Wednesday, middle of the week, kind of see where we're at is a good frame point. And right now, that's going to be Wednesdays at 1:30 every Wednesday. No, thanks for joining, John. It's good to have someone to talk to on there because oh wow, what a pop here. So nice pop up there. It's 887. Very nice. For some reason, the mental recordings is locked for me. Can you fix that? Oh, really? Huh. Yeah, absolutely. Just give me 1 minute. So rejection here in IOTR above 9. It's kind of to be expected, especially since it rejected 9 multiple times now. Yeah, let me fix the issue there. Did I see your hotkey video? You know, I pulled it up this morning. I haven't got to see all of it. I saw that you had a stream deck though, which is awesome, Q. But good morning. Interesting. Yeah, I got you, Trucker. Let me fix that. So the mentor recording section itself is meant to be for elite members, and so we have a couple elite members. Trucker's one of them. During, during the the start of the website, the plan was to get everyone acclimated to everything on there, and if they want to continue, watching a certain section. But the I would like the mentor recordings to be a little bit more exclusive. In the future, I would like to have a lot of people on the site, so a lot less people in the mentor sessions. That way, it can be a little bit more personalized, and then also get to everyone and help as many people as I can. SXTP is moving up here as well. If I was trading this one continuously for today, I'd be a little bit careful of trading this. And the reason why is XXTP has been a problem a lot. I mean, this thing has popped and dropped and popped and dropped many of times. There has been a little bit of opportunity. You can see as it's going up to $4 a share here, but you really have to be careful on this one. So you can watch for the breakthrough 90s and watch for 4. There's 4. Watch this dip and that squeeze through 4, but big seller on the ass there. All right, so I'm fixing the mentor recordings right now, and that should be good to go. So just refresh your page over there, and you can watch that back. There's a couple different sections that we talked about. One of them recovering from a loss, and then the next was momentum trading and reading the tape. I think a lot of people will appreciate that one. So I would highly recommend checking that out, Trucker. So now that we're popping up over 4, let's see if it can hold over 4, and then watch for the squeeze of 410, 425, and then extension. So that's 408 there. That's nice. Watch for this dip. That big seller coming back in around 96, 98, dropping down to 91, 92. Let's see if that order gets placed around the 80s. This has been pretty notorious for popping up and dropping. Let's see what the address is in Washington, D.C. So that's a little bit better. It's makes me a little bit more. Let's see. I think it's going to need some time before the breakthrough 4. You can clearly see there's some sellers here. So nice movement here. So 2 topping tails. Typically when you see a movement like this on, that higher volume selling candles, it's not bigger than the green. But sometimes it can create a lot of resistance, and you can see, the big seller come back in around the 90s. So that seller was at 91 previously. So as it comes back up to 91, 92, maybe we can see the squeeze through 4 and 5. All right, I should say 4 and then 410. But 5 would be nice too. So this would be your curl through first 1 minute candle to make a new high. But rejecting off there. If it wants to curl back up to 90, what is the high there? 95. You can watch for the breakthrough 4. So, if I was looking at this for a trade, I would look for 97, 98 and the squeeze through 4. But we're dipping down so far now. Very nice movement in action here on XXTP for that squeeze up higher. Once it starts turning around, you don't want to be caught holding this one. And I think the reason why is because previously on the 5-minute, we popped up and we dropped all the way back down. We did it again, and we can only assume we're going to probably do it again. Good morning, Overtime. So here's your squeeze. This is a 5-minute candle setup for the breakup over, this is previous high, 90s, I think. Yeah, just over 90. But it's really not wanting to go. So very tricky in this area. There's 90. Watch for 91 and then 94, 95, 90. There you go. Up to 4. Not holding 4. Let's see if you can get back above 4, hold, and then go to 409 and squeeze through 410. Hey John, were you able to find the executed orders for Dash Trader? So there's 401. Still, it's very heavy at 4. There you go. Now you're squeezing up through 410. Let's see if it gets 420, 425, and then squeeze back up to 450. There's 420 for a split second, but back down, having a tough time in this area. Need to call Ocean? Interesting, okay. Yeah, I gotta figure out where that was because I thought it was in one of the configs, but when I go back through all of it, I can't find it at all. And typically I'm pretty good at finding lost stuff on DAS, so I don't know, it's very, very interesting. It's like it disappeared all of a sudden. Right click on the chart, go to chart history inside the chart. Okay. Check show trades, check show executions, check show average cost. Yeah. It's supposed to be here. I don't see show trades on my. Yeah, me either. Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know why, I was able to find it on mine, but what site are you using to see buyers and sellers? I use the level 2. So this is the level 2 data here. So I can see all buyers and sellers either on both sides. So yeah, this is Ocean One. So this isn't necessarily a website, it's a brokerage. And so that brokerage uses a third party service called DOS Trader Pro. And what DOS Trader Pro is this platform that traders use when they use the market. And so, we use this data called the level 2, which you probably know, where the island of buyers and sellers come to buy stock. And so this is primarily where I see the big sellers and the big buyers based on the level 2 data. It has severely given me an edge for trading, I will say. It's definitely worth learning. It's super hard. It took me months to even understand what it all means, but it's very worth it. I have a bunch of videos on level 2 if you haven't seen them already. Yeah, Thinkorswim's level 2 is really bad. Weeble's platform is a little bit better. I've seen a bunch of truckers' videos that he sent me, and it does seem a little bit better. It is still slow, but I think DAS is one of the quickest level 2s you can get out there. Do you use Dash Trader on Lightspeed too? Maybe it's on that version. No, because this is the Ocean One version, and I don't use DAS on Lightspeed. I use their Lightspeed Pro. Mm. I'm gonna do some more research into this because it's so strange. John, I'm gonna do this. Maybe this can help you out. Uh, I'm gonna do a chart download, and I'm gonna upload it to DTSM, and all you have to do is download the chart file and upload it, and see if that helps you. All right, so I save that. You're on a downward spiral. Just is that too many red trades in a row, or talk to me a little bit about it so we can help. Another ChatGPT query said it was under chart history. I don't see it there. Awesome. Yeah, let me I'm gonna put it under, should be, make sure this is right. Downloadable tools and PDFs. All right, attach the file. All right. Yeah, so once you get on there, John, it'll be in downloadable tools, just uploaded now. just right click on the chart again and then press load settings and then load on that. So NITO moving up here, previous pop and drop. Not too sure if this one wants to start breaking out. Two big losses yesterday and today did not help. Gotcha. Yeah, no, I would definitely do a little bit of reset if you can. You know, the biggest thing when I was in a drawdown at the start of this year, I reduced a little bit of risk, reducing share size. You know, obviously because I took a little bit of more losses, my accuracy was poor. So the first thing you need to do is get your accuracy back up. And by doing that is focusing on less trades, but more high quality trades. So looking for whether that's a dip trade or a bull flag or something like that. If you want to share your entries and exits in the chat room over on DTSM, the live chat room, you can upload a picture of your entries and we can go over them so we, you know, don't have to make that mistake again. But if we're spiraling in a downward cycle, that's where we reduce a little bit of risk, we increase our quality, and we look for the highest quality trades. Can you buy DAS Lightspeed Trader Pro, or does it have to be through a brokerage? You can use for Thinkorswim. Actually, this is what Edward uses, and you can talk to him a little bit about it as well. Edward is a member of part of the community. He uses Thinkorswim with the DAS platform. So he buys DAS externally and then hooks it up to the Thinkorswim platform to be able to use. But he can let you more in the community. He can let you know more about it. I think he uses. There's a couple different packages, but he uses a specific package with market data, so he can see DAS, but still use the Thinkorswim platform. So yeah. So NITO is going kind of unexpected. If we look at the 5-minute chart, you know, we had this previous high here at 250 that we broke out of and started holding over. So now you're looking for the breakthrough 3. The first thing I'm thinking is if this can hold over 3, it can go to 315 and maybe 325. So NITO. Awesome. Thanks, Trucker, for letting me know. All right, so rejection off of 3 all the way back down to 270s here on NITO. My thoughts here on it are, it's one a little bit riskier. It's already popped and dropped back down. The second thing that I'd be looking at is a possible breakup over 280 and then squeeze back to 3. We've seen a lot of these curl rejection patterns before to where, you know, it rejects but continues moving up higher because of how strong the momentum is. So that's 280 there. That's nice. If it can hold 280s, you're looking for 290, 295, and then snap through 3. So here's my entry on IOTR. I'm trying to get this as big as possible for us to see, really. Let me go here. So I took the breakout up over this candle, looking for the squeeze. Took a lot of profit off as it came up to 8 and broke over 8, took some more off, snapped up to 9, took some more off, came back down, sold the rest. Pretty simple trade. What did I see on the level 2 that made me jump in at 770? One, green on the tape. I do have it recorded, so I'll be able to break that down today as well. But mainly, I saw the order start jumping, and it rejected the previous support level. So my idea was, we're coming up to 7 a.m. Lots of more volume coming in, typically around 7 a.m. And so you can get some really nice squeezes. It's one of my bread and butter setups. And so as it was popping up, I saw green on the tape. I saw orders coming through. I wanted to jump in before those orders. And so I jumped in at 270. And then it ended up popping up even higher. And so it continued going up there. I was taking profit along the way. Held a little bit longer than I would like to. I wanted to sell as soon as I saw 780s. But I said, if this setup is going to be good, I got to hold to at least 8. And so I took profit off at 794, 807. What was that? And then 797, 838, and then 899 for the breakthrough 9. Now you can see the buy and sell orders on the chart. Nice. Awesome, John. I'm glad that was able to fix it for you. So NITO kind of struggling in this level. Nice pop here to 280. It's just not holding. I'm not a big fan of NITO. So now you got a nice pop up to 90s and then breakthrough 3 there all of a sudden. Not holding 3. This is a 5-minute setup for the breakout over 3. Nice. There's 3 there. Let's see if it holds on the bid. That's what I'm watching here. That's the bid there, holding. Now watching for green on the tape. Tape starting to speed up slightly, but still struggling to get over 3. There's 305, 306. It's like a struggle bus over here. So high day right now is 312. If you can get over 313, maybe you can see that snap up to 320s. So watch this dip. It's 306. Now you're watching for 312, 314. Nice. But still struggling to get over 314 and 315 for that squeeze. Over time, do you mind letting me share this with the stream so we can dissect it on the large screen with everyone? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Let's go to stock market chat here. All right, so the first thing I see on PAVM is one, we're holding too long. I'm just gonna look at all of them real quick. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So from what I've noticed so far when I'm watching these exits and entries, the first thing I can say is we're buying at the tops, and whether that's okay because I did the same thing here on PAVM. I started buying way too late. Gits was a little bit cheaper. I didn't trade that one. But I see where you're trying to go for. You're looking for high day breakouts. And, some of these times you were correct. It went up a little bit higher before, turning around on you. But we're missing out on a lot of these moves here. And so we can see, a lot of these entries are too late. The moves has already happened. It needs some time to pull back. And then the next thing that I would say is that we're holding a little bit too long. And so, if we're just trying to capture 10 to 20 to 50 cents out of the market, but we're letting our, you know, losers run down even further, and we take, big loss after big loss after big loss. We have to tighten up our risk a little bit more. And so what tightening up our risk means is increasing our stop loss, whether that's 10 or 20 cents. I like to set an arbitrary stop loss or below a certain candle. So typically, instead of taking a loss down, what is that, a couple of dollars a share, maybe you stop out at the low of the previous candle. Now that can be a stop loss that you set for yourself, or it just depends on your strategy that you're looking for. But another thing that I'm noticing is that you're getting in a little bit too high. So instead of looking to get out these breakouts, because maybe we're a little bit anxious for that, and that's okay, look for a dip trades. Look for opportunities where you see a doji candle and then the next candle open up and start screaming a little bit higher. Maybe look for a bottoming tail and getting in at those lows. So you're already in with a cushion, and if it goes up higher, that could be really good. And then adding for those extensions, if you see, because we pop up here and we kind of, if we what I've noticed with stocks is that a lot of the times if we pop up and consolidate, the next time we pop up, we're probably going to consolidate. And so in that area of consolidation, you're going to have to wait for the next pop up, and that's when you want to take out the high day breakouts instead of waiting a little bit too long. So that's what I would say is, one, get in sooner than you think. Look for these micro pullbacks and these breakouts. Even this candle through high day could have been nice, but I think we were just getting in slightly too late, and we're holding a little bit too long. So I would hold a little bit less, and I would get in a little bit earlier. And honestly, that should be everything that you need to start moving in the right direction, looking for higher quality setups. BDRX moving up here slightly. A little bit of ATGL setup though. No trades on that one for me. Holding too long, I agree. I just get emotionally hijacked trying to recoup my losses by holding longer. Yeah, no, I totally understand. I've been there and multiple times. We're working with other members in the group that also are dealing with the same thing, and it's like, you shouldn't hold longer, but you do it anyways. And so that comes back to, I don't know if you were able to watch any of um, the mentor recordings that are posted in the monthly recaps, but watching some of those back and seeing, what are some ways that we can consequence ourselves to not do that again. And so that's creating your own habit, whether that's, run a 5K or something like that. But if we break a rule in any real world situation, we have to create a response to breaking that rule. And so typically, for me, my consequences could vary. But it's also smart to reward yourself for doing good things, and that's how you set behaviors. And that's all we're doing as a day trader, is we're setting certain behaviors by seeing a reaction in the market, and we're staying disciplined enough to take that. And so if a stock is moving up and we're not trading it, and we wait to the very top and then get in, like I did with PAVM yesterday, or MNTS a couple of weeks ago, those were moments where it's not the flaw in the strategy, it's the flaw in your emotions. And so if you're feeling emotional about trading, the first thing I would say is don't trade at all, because you're going to make mistakes. All right, that's the biggest piece of advice I can give for trading with emotions, until you can get over that emotional hump. But emotions come in because really it's just unsure. You're unsure that it's going to go up. You're unsure that the strategy works. And all you have to do is build evidence that it does work. And that's how the best way to increase share size. And so evidence comes from smaller share size, less risk, and that reduces a lot of emotion. So I would have, whatever size you're using right now, use a quarter of that for 2 to 3 days. Get your strategy back on the driver's seat, and then slowly start increasing from there to get you out of this holding longer and emotional spiral. And so the consequence for making mistakes would be reducing share size, making less profit. But still, you have to reduce your daily goal as well once you reduce to a quarter of the share size. I think that's a pretty good way of doing it. Yeah, those are some really nice trades there. You had a good week last week. This week, just a little bit more rocky. Yeah, just holding slightly too long. That's it. Everything else looks fine. You have great accuracy. Yeah. No, the market will do that for sure. No, but I really like this chart. You did, the first week was pretty slow. Started off slow, and then you're able to recoup coming into the next week. Made some pretty decent profits, and then just one day let it sink. So I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I think just, you know, if it's a loss, that's a loss. That's okay. There'll be more opportunities later in the future. Is that in the simulator or real money? 67% accuracy, average winning trade versus average losing trade. That'll do it right there. So we got to hold our winners longer and cut our losers faster. And you can see the average hold time discrepancy, 2 to 8 minutes. So that as soon as you fix that, everything should start turning around because that accuracy is really good. Real money, nice. No, no, this is, you know, in ways, you know, I'm jealous of 67%. That's where I want to be, 67, 68%. The only thing is make these average winning trades and average losing trades opposites. So hold your winners longer, 8 minutes, that would be sweet, and then cut your losers quicker. And that would do it for you. You know, typically, sometimes you can get away in a hotter market by holding longer. You know, especially like last week. But coming into a slower market, I wouldn't say this market's been slow coming into this week, but it's been slower than last week. And you can't get away with holding as long, unfortunately. SXTP is curling here. This one, you know, popped up, dropped down again, held the view up, and now it's curling a little bit higher. So maybe you can see this breakthrough you know, it struggled to break over 419 and 420 previously. So what I'd be looking for is, you know, 425 and 450. BDRX hit the scanner a couple of times. We're coming into 8 o'clock here in about 2 minutes. Oh, sorry, Q. I missed the message. Currently break even. Just a little nervous about that. But again, I look at my statistics. Remember, I make the most money between 8 and... Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, no, then, you know, your time window is coming up here. Oh, I apologize, Edwin. My bad. I won't slam that next time. So NITO, a little bit of a curl, but we're below VWAP. So pivot level here at about 288. VVPR hitting the scanner. This one's a little bit higher float. Uh, Cheaper stock as well, continuing to move up here. In a hotter market, you can kind of get away with some of these trades since we just seen a lot of momentum, but lighter volume coming in. Let's see. Spreads are about 20 cents at times, a little bit larger than normal. Now it's starting to tighten up. That's a good sign. Typically when the spreads start tightening it up, you know, buyers feel a little bit more comfortable, and then you can maybe see that continuation squeeze, but we'll see if this one wants a full round trip or not. That's up to 3. 288 back down. New 1 minute candle formed here. It's 84, 85. Now you're looking for the squeeze through 90 and 3. That's 94. Some resistance here at 94. If it gets to 95, 97, then you can, nope, rejection there. It does have news securing 291 MW of power sites in Finland. That's sub 4 cents per kilowatt. Seems like it's a energy company. SXTP curling back over 4 as well. So dispersed attention coming into this morning. Looks like it popped up, curled really heavily there, and then it's kind of holding this. We can see if there's any news. I don't see any news. For example, I took this one today. I know I should have sold the moment I had the chance, but I held way too long thinking, like a gamer, not risk taker. It's my big mistake. I paid for it. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it only takes one time for a mistake like that to happen for you to, you know, kick your gear back up. So, you know, I would, in the moment, it may feel, you know, very heavy, but tomorrow's a new day. Just show up and don't do it again tomorrow. And, you know, coming into a couple weeks ago at the start of the month, I was kind of on a downward spiral as well. And I was trading outside my hours of opportunity that I typically do best. And that's between 7 and, you know, 9 and 10, whatever it is. And I started trading at, you know, 4 or 5 p.m. And I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a new rule with myself, a new stretch of only being, you know, super disciplined and not doing that. So, you know, it only takes till tomorrow for you to start doing it. And, you know, I would brush this one off, you know, step away if you need to, watch the rest of the day, and, you know, do it again tomorrow and just be 1% better every day. That's all you need to do. So XSTP moving up here a little bit higher. Watch for the break for 410. Now you're looking for 420. It's 420. Nice, up to 430s. Watch this dip. And you want to look for the extension up. There you go. Nice. Very nice. Up to 425 and 450. Watch for the rejection here. Could turn around pretty quickly. Very nice trading in this area for SSTP. Finally wants to break out. So there's a break over 45 and 50. That's nice. Big sellers here at 50. There's 52, broke up by a couple of cents. Now you see 65. Watch this as it starts pulling away. You can possibly see 65, 75, then squeeze through $5 a share. Now that it's starting to open up, there's 65. Some resistance here. Really struggling to continue going up now. $2 million shares traded on the previous 1 minute candle. That's a lot of volume. Looks like buyers are holding support here at around 50s though, which is nice. There you go. There's 75. Now you're looking for the squeeze through 85, 95, and 5. Hit a high there at 83. But it held the 50s levels really well. Nice. Just under 5 there. There's $5 a share. Squeeze topped out there at 536, but I didn't see that on the level 2. Very nice. These second legs of the moves have been really nice so far. Typically when we see, a mark of the high like that, it's kind of a, the high day. I'm not too sure if it's going to go a little bit higher. Kind of marks the top, So hopefully you guys were able to catch some of that move there for that squeeze back up to 5s. It was really nice. For me, I hit my daily goal here, $150. So I'm just sitting sideline. Just want to string in as many green days as I can. That's the goal. Sold too early on the breakout. Got a video. Got way too excited. Yeah, I was watching your video yesterday, Trucker, and I loved it. I loved the enthusiasm. It was awesome. I'm gonna love breaking that one down in the mentor recordings. Yeah, you can also change the quality to 1080p if you need to. I appreciate you letting everyone know. Hopefully they're able to do that. I can't go higher for ultra latency broadcasting on YouTube, so I can't do 4K or something like that. But 1080p seems to do the job. A little bit of a dip here. You can see possibly a relief bounce back up to 85s. There's 80, 81. Kind of struggling. There's 83. I don't like to see. Typically on a relief bounce, you want to see it go immediately. It's that bounce relief, but this one is a curl rejection pattern starting to curl back up. There you go. There's 85.92. Nice. Watch for the next 5 minute, or is this 5 minute candle? Yeah, we can see this next 5 minute candle start gapping up over five if it's possible. There's enough buying volume. So watch for the breakthrough 5 here. New 1 minute candle forming in about 1 second here. There's 90, 92. Watch for the breakthrough 5, 94. I don't like the resistance there. Kind of struggling. So, kind of interesting to dissect this, but commissions on Ocean One for 500 shares is about 83 cents. That's just commission. That's not ECN fees or anything like that, but it's pretty cheap. So a little bit of a curl here on XXTP for the breakthrough 5. That's 98. Kind of rejecting. Let's see if it snaps through though. 95, 97, 98. Watch the snap. Some resistance here. Kind of moment of truth for this one. But it's really struggling there. CYCU. We've traded this one before actually, previously. Pretty good, decent mover. Kind of setting up like an ATGL though. I don't love the look of that. KUST hit the scanner. This one's lighter volume, low float, custom entertainment. It's a media company. So interesting turnaround here, but the problem right now is, MACD is crossed over negative. You'd have to wait to see it curl. 5 is really heavy. We're kind of marked by this topping tail here previously, so I would assume that it needs more time to consolidate. We do have a descending resistance here as well. There's your pop up back to 5. Now it snaps over 502, but back down to 590 or 495. There's a big seller here at 99, 20,000 shares. So watch that seller get eaten up by some of the buyers here. It's gone. Oh, now it's a 5,000 or 50,000 share seller. So someone's really trying to hold back the squeeze through 5. little bit of a penny stock. We know some of these Webull players love them. So we could see that grind back up to $1 a share. We've got some pretty strong momentum. Worth a look at. PSQH also a little bit of a higher float, not typically in the criteria that we're looking for. But the news on this one, Presidential Library selects PSQ to impact chosen digital fundraising platform. That came out with news at 8:15. So that's a Donald J. Trump headline. Which could be really, really strong, really bullish for this company. So XXTP also gapping back up here, up over 5. Last time it came up to this area, it had a really big seller. And so I think buyers might be a little bit cautious adding into these positions, but nice squeeze there. High day right now is 536. So as it continues moving up here, looking for the breakthrough 536 and that squeeze through 550. What this might do is start squeezing out some shorts as well. There you go. There's 550. Now you're looking for the break over 550 and that squeeze to 565, 575. There's 540 there. So what I'm looking for is that squeeze through 550. There you go. I want to see 48, 49, and 50. Some sellers coming in. All right, some buyers coming in as well. Watch for that squeeze. There you go. Only by a couple of cents that was able to break up over. So, we talked about this yesterday as well, is like, some of these times when it breaks over by 1 or 2 cents, often it shows that it wants to reject, and people are taking profit pretty quickly. So unless it can get over 555 and closer to 560, then it really starts pulling away. But I'm not too sure what this is going to want to give. There you go. Now it pulls away up over. So watch this dip and then squeeze through 575 and then squeeze through $6 a share. 580. Watch for 590 and then squeeze through 6. It's 592. Big seller here, 10,000 shares. Now watch this dip. Hit a high there of 598. It might snap over 6 and come back down. It's really struggling around this area. 15,000 shares on the ask. There you go. There's your snapping back down. There's 604. Nice. Now, if it can hold over 6, you're looking for 625, 650 as it starts pulling away. And this might start squeezing now. There's 615. Watch this momentum come in for 625. 608, 607. See, it should have pulled away there. So pulling back now. New 5-minute candle in about 2 minutes. Let's see how well it holds. It held pretty nicely there. So watch 625, then 635, and then the squeeze up through 650 there. 640. That's kind of rejecting 640s though. Big seller, 22,000 shares coming in, kind of rejecting that 650 level. But really nice solid move there. Lots of really good opportunity for sure. That ask there listed around 580s, 590s. Dropping back down to 578 there. That seller just above this level. They keep removing the order and replacing it. So now it's at 74. Now it's at 60s. Now it's at 70s. So they're just, as it's moving down, they're replacing it lower and lower and lower to try to get out of their position. So that typically marks out the high again when it drops, pretty quickly like that. We can see if it consolidates and holds and then squeezes, but we'll have to be patient. So 8:30, kind of bottom of this hour here, coming up with breaking news. Some headlines hit, some headlines didn't really stick. We had SAVW, which is a warrant company of SAVC. SAVC popped up a little bit. XSTP was the one that really started pulling away though. HCTI popped up this one's starting to grind up really nicely. So Good call out from earlier, worth the watch, and then pulled back, bull flag here, crow rejection pattern, bull flag, and then extension. So really nice. IOTR, pretty much a full sell off from earlier this morning. Was able to capitalize on it a little bit earlier, but XXTP was the one that wanted to start going. So what was interesting about this trade here for the break over 6, it dipped below 6 and then immediately snapped over 610 like within an instant. And that's a place where you want to start seeing it go from 610 to 615, 625, 630, 645, that snap through 50. Unfortunately, there were some sellers at 640 that hit it pretty hard, but that turnaround was so quick and vivid that a lot of people jumped on that pretty fast. Was anybody able to capture on XSTP this morning? Got it over the break of 505. Nice job, trucker. Nice trading. Nice, Jason. Good trading. I know Q, this is part of your hour here. Your good stretch, so hopefully you did pretty decent. Get a few wins. Gotcha. Was it just like in and out stabs or just not holding long enough? Yeah, ACTI, made a pretty decent move. It looks like it's gonna squeeze over $1 a share right now, but we'll have to see if it starts pulling away. We're pulling back, and so this could give us a little bit of a bull flag, but we're marked by a little bit of a candle here at the top. That's a rejection candle. Typically marks the top for now until it can rally back higher. Nice job, Edward. Very nice trading. PSQH. This is the Donald Trump headline that we were talking about not too long ago. Continuing to move up to 150 there. So ECN fees, those are typically, SEC fees that get piled onto your orders. So you get charged commissions, and then you get charged the ECN. So the broker collects the commissions, and then the exchange collects the ECN. Typically, like Ocean One, for instance, commissions are really cheap, and then the ECN fees is what eats you up. And so, like for instance, my commissions on the trade I took today on 500 shares is about less than $1 for that, and then the ECN fee will probably be around $3 or $4. So if you stack up a lot of trades, you lose a lot on ECN. But if you stack up good winners, ECN fees should be relatively cheap comparatively when you're using larger share size, because typically with brokerages they add a minimum commission fee on top of. So like if you're trading with less than, I think it's 88 shares on Ocean One, they'll charge you plus additional for your average cost. So for instance, the trade that I took today, I took half off, and then I took a quarter off, and as my positions were getting smaller and smaller, I was getting charged more ECN fees. So I had about here, I'll show the routing here as well. I had about 3 entries, and then a lot of these were exits. Some of them though were split up. Like for instance, this one right here was 1, and then all 3 of these were 1. All 3 of these executions were 1 as well. So typically I'll only just get charged once for the execution for the commissions wise, but it does get split up unevenly, unfortunately. So nice pop up there to 168 on PSQH. The float's so high, it's kind of hard to trust a move will hold up as well. We already had a really nice move for this morning on XSTP, and IOTR made a pretty nice move as well. Yeah, no worries over time. It's sometimes it's good just to call it a little bit earlier than normal, and if you're not trading the best that you can, it's good to reset, refresh yourself, and show up again tomorrow, and you know come in with a good mindset. So CMCT popping up. This could be a good news headline. Announces closing sale of lending division. So it's not the best headline in the world. Hmm. So you can look at that as one way. Their cash, their assets are going up, but then the revenue is also going down. Yeah, have a good one over time. Nice job, Shucker. You're pulling in Green Days like it's nothing, man. That's awesome. Great trading. Yeah, tomorrow is Red Friday, so be a little cautious. I agree. Nice job. You're killing it in the paper account too. Green, green, green. You got a good system on your hands. HCTI. So my thoughts on ACTI is, we made a really nice rally up to just under a dollar a share. We pulled back. Typically, a dollar a share is like a huge level of resistance. And so unless we can start curling back up over 80s and 85, I think it might have a tough time breaking over one. And, we're not really holding this area. I think that the meat of the move was definitely down here. We were looking for a trade. It was this front side, and now we're kind of on the back side. MACD crossover negative. It might be a good short play for, short sellers to come back down. Kind of also a head and shoulders pattern. So got to watch out for that. So not really too interested in HCTI. And it's a little bit cheaper as well. What do I think about XXTP? XXTP, we're starting to curl back up here. The problem that I have on it is that, we kind of topped out there around 640 pretty heavy. There was some selling around it. We can look at our first pivot level here as well because it is starting to curl. We kind of have a inverted head and shoulders pattern, which is awesome. If we can get over 6 and hold, that could look nice for your next squeeze up to 650, and then maybe even 7. The only problem that I have here is that, if we look at this candle here, we have a lighter volume selling coming in on the 5-minute chart, or lighter volume buying. And so typically that can mean a couple of things. One, buyers aren't confident that this is going to continue going higher. And the second thing is that, there might be some selling blocking the way. But if we can hold over 681 or 581 and get over 6, it could look nice for that squeeze back up to 640. So this looks a lot more promising. Yeah, of course, Jason. See how we reject there at the highs of the break? You know, that's a little bit of a pivot level that we're looking to see if it can get over. And if it can, maybe you can see that squeeze. So that's a key level area that we're looking for right now, is the squeeze back over this level. So getting the TikTok stream live up, going right now. Everyone's starting to join, which is awesome. We have our leading gainer this morning up a total of 180% so far this morning. We also have a warrant company, but not really watching the warrant company as much as XSTP made a really, really nice move up 200%. So we've been seeing a lot of these swings. Let's see here. So we're coming back up to 575 here. Maybe we can see this squeeze through 80s. Kind of a little bit of a curl back from the lows. Lighter volume buying though, so kind of a rejection coming in down to the 560s as well. So rejecting that pivot level about 581 there. Unfortunately, not holding up this level. Yeah, IOTR, you know, we traded IOTR this morning, made $153 on it, which is pretty decent. I actually got this break through this level here of 770, looking for the squeeze. And I ended up taking profit about around 9. CMCT continuing to gap up here. This one popped up a little bit earlier this morning, kind of a similar setup to what PAVM looked like yesterday, where it pops up, drops down, and starts curling. The news on the headline for this one is closing of a lending division. So the headline isn't the best, but obviously the market's responding well to it. So we can see if this one wants to continue popping up over 554, which is previous resistance. If we scroll back, kind of topping there at 454 there and dropping all the way back down. A little bit of the ATGL setup though. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. So gapping back up here to 403, 405. Nice. 406. But I'm not a big fan of how this topped out at around 450 there. Yeah, HCTI made a pretty decent move this morning as well. You know, some good player there, but right now, you know, gapping back down below VWAP, so not really holding up that level too well, unfortunately. That's a really nice logo though. Is it Levant? Levant? XXTP, yeah, XXTP made a really nice move this morning. I got no trades on this one. I kind of hit my daily goal and then sat sidelines, but there were some really good opportunities, you know, for these pullbacks in these areas and that nice squeeze up to 640 there. Very nice move. Good morning, John. CMCT starting to curl back up here. A little bit of a lighter volume on this move. You know, the volume is declining as it's going up higher on the 1 minute. Thanks, John. Right now, I'm watching CMCT. I have HCTI on a side chart, XXTP on a side chart, IOTR also on a side chart. So I'm watching a couple different stocks here coming into this morning, but mainly just waiting to see if something wants to start pulling away. I hit my daily goal for the day, so I don't know if I'll get any more trades, but still, it's worth watching and see if anything starts moving, and if something's strong enough, maybe it's worth taking a stab. coming into market open. So 9 o'clock here. It's the new top of the hour. We could see some breaking news headlines here as well. So watching some of the scanners, FRGT moving up a little bit higher. This one is a previous gainer as well. Down below $2 a share. Typically harder to trade something like this. Very light volume so far. PSQH, this one yapped up earlier this morning as well, up a total of 40%. Now this one popped up and dropped back down, but the news on this one was quite interesting. It was a presidential library select. So DJT headline: Donald Trump has chosen this one for their fundraising platform. CMCT breaking up over 450 here as it continues to squeeze. So very interesting as it moves up. There's 460. There's a really big bid here, about 30,000 shares for that extension up through 70, 73. There you go. There's 77 and 80. Now you're looking for the squeeze through 85 and then break through 5 here. We do have some previous level of resistance here at 87. So now that we're snapping up over 92, let's see if it holds. Not holding 90s. Nice bounce back into the 90s there. There's some level of opportunity in this area. We have a little bit of a curl rejection pattern. I didn't expect it to start breaking up over 450s at all. So it's nice to see that it held up that level. We do have resistance just above this level at 48 and 5. So right now up a total of 62% on CMCT. We've traded this one before. It is a real estate investment trust. So it's a REIT. Typically those REITs don't do too well, but sometimes they can make a decent move. We traded I think it was RCTC or RTCT, something like that, a while ago. That was also a real estate investment trust company. Nice job, John. Really nice trading. So there's your breakthrough, $5 a share for a split second, but only popped up by a couple of cents and back down to $4.95. 4 million shares traded so far on volume wise. VWAP down below at 441. So you have quite a bit of ways down for VWAP. Maybe you can see this break up over 510 and that squeeze at 515 and 520. So there's 510 there. There's just under 515. So there you go. There's 515. Big bid here. Now you're looking for the squeeze through 525. But rejecting. Yeah, traded quite nicely today, Carson. Not looking to push it too much and give back some of the profit, but looking to just see a couple of these moves coming into market open, and maybe there's something nice for a squeeze and continuation play. So we don't like the look of that high volume selling candle there on the 1 minute. Typically that marks off the high, but last time it gave up this setup, it ended up curling back around and making new highs. So gapping back up here to 495. Watch for the breakthrough 5 here. You want to see 98, 99 in that squeeze. Oh, interesting. Is that using an offset queue, like a 5 cent offset or something like that? So XSTP, we do have a level of resistance here in this area as well. If we go to um, the previous stock that moved this morning, 581 is that key level of resistance, gapping back down, and if it can curl back above this level coming into market open, it could look nice for a squeeze. CMCT here dropping down to 475. So watch for the squeeze back up over 488, possibly that bounce back through 5. Right now, the high of this previous 5-minute candle is 490. Yeah, I have a similar watch list coming into this morning: XXTP, IOTR, HCTI. I also have PSQH on there as well. Yeah, typically when I run hotkeys Q, I typically have a 5 cent offset. And the reason why is it's mainly because a lot of these stocks pop up very quickly. And if you're just a second too late, that limit order can get placed up through the highs instead of, setting a limit order directly on your level 2 entry window. So, yeah, I would yeah, I keep mine at 5 typically. Oh, nice, Supreme. Good morning, Raul. Let's see here. So right now, our leading gainer in the entire stock market right now is up 158%. That's XXTP. This one moved up pretty nicely this morning from a low of $2 a share all the way up to a high of 6. There's some really good opportunities on here, but there was also some really choppy areas. So the best areas to look for was when it started pulling away. And once it starts pulling away, it looked really nice. IOTR, this is the stock that I made the most on this morning, and I traded. This one didn't have any news. I ended up getting this breakthrough 7 a.m. and that squeeze all the way up to 9. And so that was a really nice trade, but I don't see any news on it. It's a Singapore company. It didn't fit necessarily in the right criteria, but the setup was so nice it was hard not to trade it. I've never used Seeker. CMCT breaking up over, it looks like a little bit of a bull flag pattern, breaking up all the way through 5. Nice extension up to 582. This is how strong the market we are seeing so far as well in the morning. It's been really nice. So nice pop up there to 550s, but back down to 538. Let's see if we can get above 550 and hold. That's 552 on the ask. A little bit of resistance here, some selling, about 10,000 shares just over 548 and 549. I typically trade small cap stocks listed on the US market. Nice job, Recorb. Nice trading. The way I interpreted this news is I thought it was pretty bad news at the start. And so it popped up, it rejected, and I'm thinking to myself, that makes sense. And then it curls back up here, it rejects. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It's probably going to go back down, but it continues to move up a little bit higher. So I think you can look at it one of two ways. Closing of the sale of lending division means that it's probably going to earn cash as assets. And at the same time, you lose that lending division, so you lose that revenue. But I don't know if it was, profitable or not. I haven't looked into their balance sheet yet, but it's definitely an interesting headline, and I thought it was negative at first, but it's really starting to pull away. So the market's responding well to it, but it is a real estate investment trust, so these are typically a little bit trickier to trade. I have a $150 daily goal. My entry on IOTR was previously here on it. I took the break and dip here looking for that extension and ended up taking profit around $9 a share and $8 a share as it moved up. Yeah, this is a live account. Primarily just trade. So now we're looking to see if this breaks over 550 here. We did dip down, so it looks nice for that break. There's 550. Now you're looking for that squeeze. There's 551. It broke over by a couple of cents. Typically that marks out a little bit of a rejection. So they can see if this holds this level and squeezes back up to highs, but right now not able to hold over 550. Yeah, I go live every day at 7 a.m. over at joindtsm.com. And then I go live on TikTok at 9. So dipping back down on CMCT here, IPW also hitting the scanner. A little bit of a lighter volume move. Yeah, kind of like an ATGL setup. Not super interested in IPW unless it starts pulling away. I'll put it up on the level 2 in case, but not too interested in it. Oh, awesome. Yeah, no, I have a free starter course as well on Join DTSM. So you can check that out and see exactly how I trade. I basically lay out my what I look for every single day when I come down and sit in the market. Just looking to make a little bit of profit here. Yeah, 5 minute was a little bit extended here off the 9 EMA. We're coming back down to VWAP, which is a level of support typically. So this is this orange line here. Yeah, over 583 and 581 is pretty interesting on SXTP as it starts curling. It is very interesting to see if it holds this level and gets over 6 again. I'm not too sure if it's ready yet or it's going to be, we're coming into market open here shortly. So it could make a really nice swing coming into market open as well. Rejecting so far that level. Yeah, I think it's good to, reinvest in some education as well for trading before putting real money on the line. So that's, whether that's buying education platforms or watching some YouTube videos, joining communities, but then also practicing in simulators is really important as well. Define levels. Yeah, levels are really important. I would say a couple of psychological levels to look for is that half and whole dollar, and then even those quarter and quarter dollar positions as well. So 650, 7, those are key areas. But then also looking for 625 and 675. Those are key areas as well. Kind of the tipping point for most stocks. And so the tipping point for this stock for me that I'm looking for right now on XXTP is the break over 6. 6 is a psychological level that typically people put their their orders just in that area. So oftentimes, if it holds that level, then you're looking for that extension and continuation breaking through. XXTP, a little bit of a crow rejection pattern coming here. It could look nice for the breakup over 581 if it's strong enough. These are small cap stocks, Raymond. So these are stocks listed on the U.S. market. Typically, we're trading, hyper small cap stocks, so floats under 10 million shares. Anything higher than that typically is a little bit trickier to trade for me. So once again, the watch list coming into this morning, XXTP, up a total of 180% right now. 100 million shares of volume traded so far with a 1.04 million float. It does have news and announces a partnership with Runway Health to provide international travelers to direct access for malaria prevention. So pretty decent headline. Looks like the market responded pretty well to this, up 200%. And then we also have IOTR making a pretty decent move. That was up 100 and I think almost close to 150% earlier this morning. And this one, made a really, really decent swing. Nice trade. So these are small cap stocks. So I'm looking at SSTP, looking at IOTR as well, HCTI. This one's kind of gapping back down though. Primarily right now, XSTPs are leading runner from this morning. And so I'm just going to be watching this one to see if it wants to continue moving up a little bit higher. Yeah, I'm trading small cap stocks. So stocks listed on the US market. Thanks, Em. I appreciate it. Yeah, John, I understand. No, I totally get it. So the S&P 500 would be, kind of that ETF combining, the top stocks in the market. I'm trading individual companies. So typically these are companies that are less wide known that come out, that you can see the daily chart gets beaten up. It's, on a large sell off. And then it comes out with, maybe some really good news and that ends up sending the stock up, maybe 10, 50, 100, 1,000% in a single day. And so, last week we had two 800% runners. Coming into this week, we've had a couple of decent, 100%, 200, 300% movers as well. So it's been some really good momentum coming into this a couple weeks, and hopefully we can keep that up for a while. So XSTP looks like it wants to try to break over 581 here. It's trying for a couple of attempts, but right now it's not able to hold up this level and squeeze through. So there's just a little bit too much selling pressure right now. We're coming up to market open in about 10 minutes, and that can create a little bit more volume for that squeeze up over. Our highest volume candle of the days were, close to 2 million shares. So we had a couple of nice candles like that. It really shows demand for this stock. Yeah, a lot of it was. I did buy a couple of courses as well. One of the main, contributors to the As Much As I Know About This would be Ross Cameron. He's a wonderful mentor, and he's a great trader himself. So yeah, typically when market opens, I don't have as many trades. I typically just trade pre-market. But the first couple minutes of market open, I typically sit sidelines waiting for a potential squeeze. And then if a stock wants to continue moving up higher, then that's great. So XSTP up here at the 74. Watch for the breakthrough 81 and 82. There's 82. Now you're looking to see if it holds 80s and squeezes up through $6 a share. That's 93 there. That's nice. Now you're looking for the squeeze through 6. That's 99. But rejecting. Let's see if it holds support here at 81. I mean, there's no great way. You can't just like search for them. I think just finding one that fits your trading style and the way that you want to trade, and then just learning from them, whether they have free content out there or, paid content. I think it's worth, looking for that way. You can check out, some of my content if you want on YouTube, and then we also have the community over there as well. But yeah, pretty rough rejection there. So XSTP not able to hold up this level so far coming into this morning. No, I don't trade any coins. These are small cap stocks. So this is SXTP listed on the US stock market. So I took a couple decent losses, and the first thing that I suggest for anyone that takes losses is to reduce their risk, and that's either reducing their share size or the amount of position that they're taking, so they don't continue going down a little bit further. And so coming into the start of this year, I was on a little bit of a drawdown. I didn't perform as well as I wanted to. And so the biggest thing that I did was I reduced my share size. I got back to break even, and then I started increasing my share size again. So, coming into this morning, I was able to pull out a pretty decent day on, relatively higher share size than I typically trade. At the open, do you wait for the first candle or two to anticipate based on pre-market? So coming into market open, typically I sit sidelines for the first couple of minutes, until we get something that looks nice and starts pulling away, because you can have some dramatic flushes coming into the market open that I've seen recently. If I'm super confident in something and I think in market open it might start squeezing higher, then I could be interested. But there's been a lot of times where flushes to a halt down and doesn't hold up a level too well. So typically I give it a couple minutes before. Yeah, I typically scalp the market. Yeah, this is not a coin. This is XSTP, which is a US stock. I don't trade any cryptocurrencies or anything like that. What are some of my favorite small caps, or is it always different? Goes up then sell? Yeah, typically it's always different. Every day we come into the market, we have a different stock that we're looking at. Some days there has been, really good continuation setups where a stock continues to move up higher. Some of the best stocks that I've traded so far have probably been, let me think. I think QNRX was a pretty good one, as well as, GME produced some pretty good profit. At that time, it was more of a short squeeze than a small cap. But every day we sit down, it's kind of a new ball game, and we're looking to solve the piece of the puzzle. I risked about $50 to make 153, so I had about a 10-cent stop. Some advice for someone starting off: I would learn as much as possible and practice as much as you can. Stay disciplined, show up each and every day, and the market will reward you for it. So, learn as much as you can. Join a community where there's other traders that are also, either successful or learning to trade, and that'll give you, a way better jump than most traders. Yeah, no, I agree, John. There's so many people. I took about a 500 share position for about $7, almost $8 a share. So if we do the math on that, I'm gonna get the exact number. It was about a $3,000, $4,000 position. Yeah, there's a lot of free content over on jointttsm.com as well. So about 5 minutes to market open here. The market watch list coming into this morning is XXTP up a total of 177%. We have IOTR up 130%. CMCT is also on the watch list so far coming into this morning, a total of 72%. HCTI, a little bit of a drawdown. I have that on the watch list, but I'm not really too confident on it. And then PSQH as well. So those are the main stocks that I'm watching so far this morning. So IOTR here, a little bit of a curl off the lows. We could look for that to start curling back up through VWAP, which could look nice for market open here. But we got to remember, it's a Singapore company with no news, so there's no reason for it to be moving as much as it is. But it held support here at around 630s really nicely for a while. Yeah, QH there barely holding, but it is up, pretty decently, 30% on the day. The float's a little bit higher, so more shares being held there. Coming into market open here, about 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So CMCT curl back over VWAP. This could be interesting for a squeeze, but the main stock I'll be watching coming into this morning is SXTP. IOTR starting to curl back up here. VWAP right now is about a 740. So if IOTR can get above 740 and hold, it looks interesting. If you got time, could you go over your first trade? I joined when you stopped. Yeah, of course. So I took a trade on IOTR this morning. Basically, what ended up happening was it started rallying back up through highs here over VWAP. And so I was thinking we have a level of resistance here at 819. If we can break over that level, it could look nice for a squeeze back through highs. And so we came up to 7 a.m. We saw a little bit of a dip, and I'm thinking if this can reclaim this level, I want to look to take an add and a starter position for the breakup over this high. And so it broke over 85, 95, and 8. I took some profit off. It dipped down and then squeezed all the way to $9 a share where I took off, the rest of my position. So I ended up pulling $153 out of this trade here. And so my first entry was looking for this break through the highs. It snapped, dipped down for a little bit, and then squeezed a little bit higher. So a really nice trade. I'm currently getting my finance degree, and I had mentors. They're more parasocial mentors. One of the biggest mentors that I would say, online wise, would be Ross Cameron. He's a wonderful trader. But other than that, we have a couple different online mentors. No one really personally taught me this. I had to learn a lot of it myself and spend a lot of quality time, studying the markets. I handle with an accountant. So looking at in market open, here's a couple different things. Right now, XXTP is curling up over $6 a share. This one looks really nice for a squeeze coming into market open for this breakout. So we could possibly see this, start moving all the way up to 650 here. We'll have to be patient and wait and see though. So market open in about 20 seconds. So market open here, nice squeeze all the way up through 650s and a squeeze all the way in continuation for that breakup over 665. Let's see if it holds over the 650 level and continues to rise up. That was a really nice squeeze coming into market open there. Seemed like a lot of people jumped on. But yeah, this one's dumped a couple of times, you know, so you have to be careful of these rejections. Really nice move up there though. Nice little play there. So XXTP very strong coming into this morning. It does have news, US company, pharmaceuticals in biotech, so really nice move. We have the 200 EMA at about 977. So you have a little bit of ways away until you start reaching that level, but so far right now making a really nice high. So that's 680s there. You want to see if this holds and squeezes through 7. There's 7, a little bit of selling here at 7. There's a pop over 703, but unfortunately not able to hold over 7 right now. Might need some more time to break out. So pop up there to 729, but there you go. Nice. Let's see if it holds this 29 level and look for that squeeze back up through 8s. Nice all the way up to 8 there. There's so much volume coming into this. Over 2 million shares traded so far coming into this morning. Been really nice. Yeah, the 200 SMA and the 100 SMA are, you know, pretty incredibly respected. I agree. Typically, the 200 EMA is something that, you know, I keep on my chart that's been pretty successful for myself in these small cap stocks. So nice move up here to 77. Let's see if it holds the 75 level and wants to start squeezing back up over 8. That's 82. Now you're looking for 85, 95, and that squeeze through 8, but not really holding this level so far. Big sellers coming in, about 10,000 shares. Dropping all the way back down to 750s, 725. So not holding this level too well. But I appreciate everyone joining on the TikTok stream. I'm going to finish over the stream on joindtsm.com. I typically start streaming around 7 a.m. over there. If you guys want to check that out, there should be a link in my bio as well. But thanks everyone for tuning in today. And you know, yeah, there was a lot of good questions. And so hopefully, you know, a lot of those questions got answered and you guys learned and took some benefit from this. But I appreciate everyone. And we'll see you again tomorrow at 9 o'clock coming into the pre-market opening session. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow. All right, so coming into this morning session here, you know, pretty decent day for me. Locked up an early day, pretty decent profit, and then we just show up again and do it again tomorrow. Set OBS disconnected here. I should be reconnected. Looks like I lost connection, but I should be back now. Sweet. All right, so let's look at the report for today. We'll go to the calendar. Nice little trade here on IOTR. Took profits into the 8 and then held for as long as I could for the squeeze through 9. So as this comes down to the 9 EMA, we can see this possibly bounce. So there's your 9 EMA dip here down to the 7s. If it holds 7, maybe you can see the bounce and squeeze back over. There's 80s. Lots of selling coming in though. As it sells off, you have a halt down at 589.